Alrighty, fashionista, so I'm using L'Occitane as my facial moisturizer. This is my favorite moisturizer to use, especially for oily skin. It's really lightweight, 5% shea, and it just keeps my skin very soft and hydrated and moisturized without leaving my skin feeling oily. Now I'm using the Ole Henriksen Truth's facial water and Nurture Me by him. They are so amazing. The Truth water has been really helpful in evening out the pigmentation in my skin, which is like my favorite. So I spray them both on to keep my skin just healthy.
Dull skin, so I'm just gonna spread it on. I hit only my eyes with stuff on my face, like water or something. Jesus! This, no look confidential. There's no look confidential. I hope she never has to hear about this.
Alrighty, fashionista, so we're going to go ahead and take the shade Warm Taupe from the Modern Renaissance palette and add it all over the eyelid for the base. Now, a little does go a long way, and you don't need to make it perfect. This is just going to help bring out the transition colors and also the crease color. Then I'm going to take the shade Primavera in the same palette, and I'm just going to add it in the inner corner. I like to call it my halo, just because this is really what's going to keep the glow to the eyes, but also accent on the lid color for the glitter and just really bring the look together. Now I'm using the Urban Decay Heavy Metal in the shade Midnight Cowboy, and this is, I'm doing a little bit on the lid, and then I did trace my lid just so I could be able to find the placement to where I want to put all of the glitter. Now I like this form better instead of just putting glue and then picking it up with product on a smudge brush. I feel like this is a little bit more convenient. I'm showing you guys how much you might need to put on there to really get the look you're going for, or the look that I'm doing. And it will take a little bit to dry, but well, not a little bit, it takes a couple minutes. If you want to stand in front of a fan or fan your eyes, and you'll know when it's dry because it doesn't feel wet anymore. Just to keep Alright, fashionistas, using the Modern Renaissance palette, we're going to go ahead and with the shade Love Letter, and this is going to be our transition shade. So you're going to put this everywhere above, a little bit underneath your brow bone, right above your lid, and this is just going to be the transition shade. Now we're going to go in with Cypress Umber, and we're going to put that right directly in the crease. This is going to be right above your lid where we did the glitter, up close so you can see. So I'm taking the shade Cacao in the Becca Ultimate Coverage, and I'm only using one pump, and I'm taking the Sephora Collection Airbrush Blender number 78, and I'm just applying it, and I only used one pump, and sometimes I add a half a pump extra if I really want that full coverage, but I mean, I can still get that beat face with just one. So I just took one pump, and I love this foundation. It covers extremely well. It accommodates my complexion nicely, and I just love how this applies on the skin and just the way it works. This is the only brand when I first started wearing makeup that I can find out was my complexion. Now I use Makeup Forever, which is also an amazing brand for medium to full coverage, and then the Sephora collection. So I really do love this and how it applies. Fashionista, so I'm taking the mineral foundation in the Becca brand in shade Cacao, and I'm buffing it into the skin just to make it a little bit more flawless and just so that it blends out really well with the neck. I also forgot to say in my last video that make sure when you add your foundation, even your mineral foundation, that you add a little bit of below the jawline, just so it's not just foundation and then your neck. You want it to flow naturally, but by kind of letting it fade a little bit from the jawline to the neck will also help with making sure that the foundation isn't just on your face, but has a nice natural flow as far as color and coverage with your face. I love this powder foundation. It's my favorite. Alrighty, fashionista is going to take the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Amande, putting this right underneath my eyes. You don't want to go past the little hump on your nose. Going on my chin, bridge of my nose, a little bit on the forehead, doing a little triangle, and then a line on my under my natural contour. So right in the middle of your ear, you want to go right below that for your highlight. Then I'm going to take the Beauty Blender undamped, and I'm just blending it all out underneath my eye. I would actually take the shade Caramel and then ours Creamy Radiant Concealer, just because I like to brighten mine up. And since we're doing more of a glam look, that's what I would normally go. That's the shade I would normally do. But we're going to actually use another step. Taking the back of the Beauty Blender to blend it all out on the edges, just to make sure there's no rough spots. And I'm taking the tip of the Beauty Blender and I'm going to blend it out lightly, but make sure it's blended pretty well. And now I'm going to take the bridge of my nose and blend it all out. Now, when you see this video, it looks really, really fast. Well, with the NARS Creamy Radiant Concealer, you actually kind of want to do that because it dries really fast. So you see when I did the chin, I'm just like really kind of buffing it in there, trying to like scrape it. But I'm not scraping it off, I'm trying to blend it because it dried on me a little bit. Now I'm taking the tip and I'm really blending out the underneath the contour highlight. I'm going to take my foundation powder brush by e.l.f. and I'm going to really just blend it out, just kind of sweep it lightly, kind of, just to make sure it's even. And I'm going to do it on both sides. And sometimes I do it on my forehead just to make sure it's even. Now I'm going to take the Anastasia Base Pro Pencil and I'm going to make my highlight under my eyes a lot lighter. Well, not a light, but lighter than what I normally go for, just because this is more like a going out type of look. And sometimes I just like the way it brightens my eyes. I love my eyes a lot when I smile, and I feel like that's what really makes my look, for me, beautiful. So I added a little bit. I'm still taking the Beauty Blender undamped and I'm really blending it out, taking the back, making sure the edges aren't harsh, and I'm going to continue to blend. This is the part that takes a little bit. So just blend, 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 blend. And if you ever feel like you need to go back in, which you will see me do in this video, because sometimes you have to make sure both sides are even, then go ahead and do that. But you won't really see me adding that extra highlight on my chin or my forehead. It's really where you want to emphasize and make it more pronounced on your face is the reason why you want to highlight. So I just mostly highlight underneath my eyes because, again, that's my favorite feature on my face, and I feel like my forehead and my chin are just big enough. So just lightly highlighting those areas are perfect, just so that your face looks very symmetrical and even, and it doesn't look, when you take pictures, like weird. So now I'm going to take my foundation powder brush and just kind of buff out my highlight a little bit and buff it lightly down so it blends in with my skin and it flows naturally. I love that highlight. Taking the Sephora Collection number 79 Precision Contour Brush, and I'm going to go ahead and take the Becca translucent powder. It's a blotting powder, which is my favorite. I'm almost out. And I'm going to take it to set my under eye. And I'm just going to pat it underneath my eyes and sweep it, just so that I can kind of like dust off the excess a little bit. But I blend it all out to make sure it doesn't look weird. Then I'm going to do the other side, just pat it underneath my eyes, especially where I tend to crease. Their concealer is really good as well, which is my favorite. And I'm going to just basically set everything with that blotting powder, translucent powder. The shade that I'm going to use to contour is going to be from the In the Bloom palette, and it's the deepest shade in there, and I'm using that to contour. Now, I thought you couldn't contour, but with that shade, honey, it contours your life away. So I'm adding that, and you literally need a little bit, so you can see I contoured already. And I'm taking a little bit on my jawline just to blend it and make my neck and jawline even as well, but to make it a little chiseled. So you can see that. And I'm taking the same brush. I'm not using a different brush. I try not to use so many different brushes unless if I don't really need to. Then I'm going to go ahead and contour this out. You can see that, yes, honey, that come to life, honey. That contour, yes, yes, honey. Okay, get back. So when you contour, you want to make sure you kind of buff it lightly, blend it up. Okay, girl, yes, turn up. And I'm going to take my, again, e.l.f. brush, powder brush, and I'm just buffing it out so it's not like harsh lines, but it still looks even. So you can really see that contour. Once I start doing my blush and everything, it really comes together. I like to do contour kind of second, just because everything else just ends up flowing naturally. You know where to place everything else. Now I'm taking the MAC Sweet as Cocoa blush. And sometimes I feel like this blush doesn't really come through as far as pigment, so I feel like I have to pack it on to get what I'm really looking for as far as just to bring out that shade. I really do like it. It's a really pretty blush. Will I purchase it again? I'm not too sure, but I really do love the color of the blush. So you want to smile. Yes, you see that blush? I like literally put so much on that brush so I could get the color. There we go. Smile, put on them apple cheeks. Yes, you see how it's bringing my color together. This is why it's perfect to be dark skinned. Now I'm taking the fan brush by Sephora Collection, number 65, and I'm using the Champagne Pop illuminator, and I'm taking the Nurture Me Water by Ulla Henriksen, lightly spraying it because it picks up product really well. It makes it go on really nicely. I dust some of it off and make sure it's not too wet. We're going to take some of it from the brush, make sure you do it sideways, and I'm going to put it right on my cheekbones to emphasize. Some people say it's ashy, but I don't really think it is. I think it's perfect, but when Prosecco comes out by itself, honey, let it be known I'm getting that. Ooh, yes, that illuminator, honey. Sometimes I take my beauty blender or the contour brush and go back in to make sure it doesn't go places it doesn't need to go. I'm going to take it right again on the other side. Now if you want to, yes, highlight come through. Now if you want to know how to put your highlight, just squeeze your cheekbones like a duck or like a fish, and right where you see the emphasis on the bones is where you want to put your highlight or your illuminator. Putting some on my lips, forehead, bridge of nose, and also sometimes my chin. Taking Stila Chianti, and I'm putting it all over the lips. This is my favorite color. People always compliment me on this shade. It's like my favorite. I literally am out, so that's why you can't even read the bottle and you see like marks on the inside of the bottle. So I'm like kind of like scraping this container. I need to go buy another one. But this one was $24. Everything you're seeing that I'm using now is from Sephora. And I got my fan brush for like $10 because it was on clearance. And this liquid lipstick by Stila, it's a matte lipstick, but it isn't too drying, which is what I love. It's 24 and it's the shade Chianti, and I'm showing you guys the look so far all together. Ooh, okay. Now I'm gonna put my hair up, and I don't even know why I put this in the video because it doesn't look that good when you look at it, because it looks really weird, but it just keeps my edges down really nicely. So I'm using the oil edge control by Olive Oil. I'm just taking a little bit, and it keeps your edges laid, honey, laid to the gods. Even if you're really natural, this is not like a gel, but it just for somehow keeps your edges laid, and that's what I want. And it makes your skin look really good too. It makes your makeup look flawless too. Like, it just emphasizes. But I do recommend that you put this on before your makeup. That's why it looks like that, because I put it on afterwards. I tried it before my makeup and it did not look like that. So make sure you do it like after your makeup. That's why I'm mad I put this on the video, because you can like see it on my edges. But it works. If you want your edges laid, honey, use it. And I'm gonna relax my hair. Yes, feeling myself. Okay, what am I doing next? Alright, I'm using the Blanc Bite white lipstick, and I'm gonna do an ombre with this. This is like the perfect way to ombre your lips, and just to learn how to ombre your lips. You can even change your lipstick color with this shade. Ooh, yes. This retails for $24 at Sephora. It's really good for keeping your lips hydrated as well. So if you want to do like a white lipstick, this is perfect. Now I'm taking the Baja 5 by Kat Von D, and I'm kind of making it more pink on the inside. And this Kat Von D liquid lipstick is my favorite. If you guys have seen my liquid lipsticks or lipsticks for dark skins, you've seen this color on there. And I've used this because I like to emphasize on the color of my lips. But this became a little too pink and it almost blended in with my Chianti. So I'm going back in with that shade, and I'm going to borderline to make it even. I'm even going to go back in with a Blanc just to make sure the ombre really shows.
So tell me what's good with us, good with us. Tell me what's the deal with ya, you know